yes, beautiful people. How are we doing? How are we doing today? I hope everyone is fine. Everyone is okay. क्या हाल चाल है? Do let me know if everything's okay. The voice and all, so that I can swiftly move on without even worrying about anything else. जो लोग भी हैं, please just give me a thumbs up if everything is okay, so that we can move on. Hello, Divya bhai. What's up, bhai? Hard day, yaar, Divya bhai. I mean, but that is what happens at Brentford. It is almost impossible not to concede, so it is always a matter of time whether you can outscore them, and that is why Arsenal needs to be given a lot of credit, because they somehow went there and they didn't let them score. So yeah, but it's okay, it happens in the league. I think is time period mein, I think the whole point is just moving on from whatever bad games are happening and just focus on the games that are coming ahead of you. But today's game is today's stream is really special because of few reasons. Ek, this is the first cup final that we are going to have this season in this English league, that is the EFL Cup, or as people know this as Carabao Cup. और ये स्पेशल इसलिए भी है क्योंकि for both those teams it is very different motivations. For Arsenal, they are on the verge of actually telling the world that they're very serious with regards to the impossible dream, the quadruple chase, and they have done almost everything right up till now, and they just need a topping of a trophy just to prove a point to everybody. And I think this is their opportunity to get their hands in the first available trophy of the four that they are in right now. And it is going to be very important for them to show up tomorrow. And on the other end, City, for various reasons, for very different reasons though, a manager who is at the end of its periphery, it's almost dead certain that he will not be continuing more than 1 year. Like that is the maximum. And I think if you count like that, there are not very much opportunities that he's going to get out of the remaining trophies that he is in right now. So it's important for him to win the trophies before he leaves Man City, and also for Man City to prove a point that they are not as worthless as people are making them to be. And this is their competition, by the way, similar to what FA Cup is Arsenal's competition. I think this is Man City's competition. They've won the most number of EFL Cup in the last 10 years, if I'm not wrong. So City has a point to prove, Arsenal has a point to prove, which again makes a very intriguing final for various reasons. I think the stylistic difference of both these managers, the way they're going to set up, the way how tactical both of them are, the history that they share with each other, it is going to add to a lot of spice. I think ये ज़्यादा और spicy होता अगर City अपने matches drop ना कर रही होती. But I feel they've let everybody down. Not only City fans, they've let everybody down by not winning against Forest, by not winning against West Ham. And I feel this is where it needs to. They need to show up. They need to come up with the goods and tell the world that they're here. And yeah, so आज का preview special इसलिए भी है. And I've got two amazing Arsenal creators, yeah, two amazing Arsenal fans, both of them legends, both of them ultras. And मैं दोनों का बहुत बड़ा fan हूँ with respect to their insights, with respect to how they look at football. And that is why I really wanted to have this discussion with these two in particular. और उसमें से I think Manas Bhai is here. I'm going to invite Manas Bhai just now. Yes, Manas Bhai. What's up, Bhai? Kya haal chal?
What's up? Hey man.
How are you, Manas Bhai? I don't know. It's okay. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great.
Last time, obviously, you invited me, and then light ही नहीं थी घर पे when I came home.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I understand, Manas Bhai. You don't need to be apologetic about that. I mean, it's okay. It was my loss at the end of the day, because I think it could have been even more better, but it did really well. That stream did really well. But I was sure if if you were there, it would have been elevated to one more level. But it's okay. We'll have opportunities to discuss about that as well. But today we are here with a very special stream because both our clubs face each other again. Uh, this is the second time that they're facing each other before the big game at Etihad, that is. And both those teams have various different motivations for them. For Arsenal, it is very important to show the world that they have almost convinced everybody, their fans, the rival fans, that they are a very good team. They are not uh, now they have transformed themselves from being bunch of good players to a very good team, which can navigate a very tough pace if they're put under. And now this is the topping that they need, the trophy which they desire. And Man City, on the other end, is sitting at the periphery of their greatest ever manager, almost leaving them. So it is very important for them to at least show up and do something about that as well. So it makes a lot more interesting. और मैं यही बोल रहा था कि it would have been even more interesting if had City not dropped those points against Forest and West Ham. But let bygones be bygones. अब उसके लिए हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते. But I'm gonna straight away get into the points, Manas bhai, and I think it is really established without any banter and all. I think it is established like Arsenal have been the most, how do I put it without being like, they have been the most consistent team. They have been the most dominant in terms of what they want to do with their team, and that is why the table is a reflective sense of where they are right now. I want to ask you, what has changed from let's say last 2 years to this year's? What has made them so dominating? If you can help us understand what is the difference between of this Arsenal to, let's say, the Arsenals of yesteryears.
I think what was important post Arsenal was the culture reset. I think it was very important to do that in a sense, because when towards the last few years of Arsenal, I think it was clear that in some ways the club lost its, the pathway to success, and then it needed a reset. So
Yeah.
in those terms, I think we got really lucky with identifying Arteta, and obviously with the higher up hierarchy also immediately recognizing ki, yeah, the club needs somebody, not just another random manager. Even though, like, I would say Emery is obviously a good manager, but he was not suited to Arsenal. So I think identifying that person to come in, give us that cultural reset.
Yeah.
And immediately, I think I still remember the first few interviews that Arteta did when he came in, and instead
Yeah.
of football, he talked about the culture. He talked about doing the process. He talked about what things are wrong, and obviously he's lived that, right? He's lived that
Yeah.
towards the end of the Wenger years, last 4 or 5 years when things weren't going very well. So I think वो important था. I think that is where we got lucky. That is something that was identified at the right moment. And I think what year was that, I forget, but that also coincided with Kroenke's getting full ownership of Arsenal.
Yeah.
तो वो भी बहुत ही, like, all of these things happening within a few years of each other is very important and usually not cited as reasons, but
Yeah.
internally it has very big impact, right? So from like a majority ownership to full ownership, so now they can start pumping in money. They can drive the club in a direction that they want to.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things were very important for us to be competitive again.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, Manas bhai. That's a very good opening to what exactly happened post Wenger era. And I want to introduce my favorite ever Arsenal fan, Addy Bhai. Big fan of Addy Bhai. Everybody knows it. And Addy Bhai, I don't want to put you on a spot by asking you something stupid, which is non-tangible in nature, but it's really important for the perspective as well. Do you? It's just a feeling. I'm not saying there's any truth, because we cannot explain as to whether this is going to happen or not. But do you also feel like many Arsenal fans do, like this is the best Arsenal team after the invincible Arsenals, in terms of how they are, how compact they are, they can attack you with various weapons. They're very good with set pieces. They're as good defensively as anybody in the league. At one point of a season, they were chasing that impossible record of just conceding less than 15 goals. So I think overall, do you also feel this is the most complete Arsenal team post inevitables?
Yes, Piyush bhai. I think honestly, yes. I think this is the strongest Arsenal team I've personally seen. I've been watching these guys play since 1999, and I think our post Invincibles. I think this
Yeah,
is definitely one of our version of at least the strongest version of Arsenal I've seen post the Invincibles. Definitely
yeah,
for sure. I think defensively we are very 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 solid. That's something that we've not seen. Arsenal do or Arsenal have defensive players in the
yeah,
past. Being defensively solid. We've always been a team that always concedes a lot of goals. We try and outscore the opponent. That's how we always try and play football. But I think what Arteta has done this season around is he's changed all the norms that are linked with Arsenal. That we play
yeah,
beautiful football. That we're not reliant on set pieces and stuff like that. Different things. So he's changed the norms in that way. And I think yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I think this is the strongest version since the Invincibles for sure because we've got quality, we've got squad depth, we've
yeah,
got that the set piece basically the set piece thing that the set piece tactic that has been working out brilliantly for us. We've got
yeah,
different versions again of in our forward line. We've got Gyökeres, someone who works hard off the ball. You've got Jesus who works well with the ball. You've got Havertz, who holds up play, who involves the midfield. So I think
yeah,
it's a version of of everything put together. It's like a potpourri. It's a mix of everything together, which I think
yeah.
finally we're starting to see a few results out of all that mixture to be put together. And I think yes, this is probably the best Arsenal team I've seen post the Invincibles.
That's a very fair assessment. I didn't want to bring it up so early, but Manas Bhai, since Addy Bhai has pointed that, and I really want you to follow it up with, like, a lot of people know that Arsenal are very dangerous with the set pieces, but a very few people know about Nicholas Jover, who is your basically your set piece coach. For people who don't know as to what he has changed in the way you attack set pieces and you defend set pieces, if you want to explain it to the chat or to anybody who's going to watch this, as to what is the difference that they do, or what people are now trying to copy him in terms of how they attack set pieces. What is that one thing that has changed that was not earlier, before let's say this season, or season before that?
I would say actively training set pieces,
Okay.
and I think identifying early where the meta of the league will go, in terms of everybody now starting to man press, every team being capable of actually executing a man to man. So it's
Yeah,
very hard to beat Premier League teams. So identifying early where that meta will go, right? And obviously, over was at Man City before when Arteta was here, was there at
yeah,
City, right?
yeah, yeah,
So identifying the right person, the right coach, bringing them in, working, obviously training those, identifying again before the, ahead of the curve a little bit. Ki this is the way the league might go. So
yeah,
you prepare for that, and again, it's very clear that a lot of time has been spent uh, training set pieces. And more
yeah,
than set pieces, I think it's important to also note two people who, like, obviously, you can train however many set pieces you want, but if the delivery isn't good, it doesn't really
yeah,
mean anything. So Declan
yeah,
Rice and Odegaard and Saka just putting it on a dime every time. Every time they put it
yeah,
perfectly, वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा important है. Like, right? So you've seen, like, we've seen Martinelli take corners, we've seen Madueke take corners. Those don't end up really well,
yeah,
or not as consistent. So yeah, I think that is where it has gone.
yeah,
And slowly, everybody is starting to get good at set pieces. You see, Manchester United have scored so many goals from set pieces
yeah,
this
yeah,
season. Even Chelsea have scored a few set piece goals. So that is
Goals.
yeah,
where the league is going in
yeah.
a way.
And yeah, and that is such a brilliant point, Manas bhai. I mean, it seems like they have somehow utilized this unidentified part of the game to their advantage, to a point where it is almost impossible not to copy them. If you want to compete with them, you need to study them really well, and then you also need to change your style of way if you really want to attack Arsenal. And I think that is a very, very good testament to what Arteta has built Arsenal into. I mean, yes, you might hate them because I remember the narrative when Pep tried to play from the back. I mean, he introduced. It was not like they didn't play from the back earlier, but it was the way he started playing it. People then started copying it. I think the way the way Klopp came and the way he started pressing, I think a lot of people tried that as well. And I think these are the factors that actually change the game. It changed the narratives of how you perceive that team. It is basically somehow giving you or the team such an advantage where you're almost ahead of the curve, as you pointed out. Like now, like if I have to prepare for Arsenal, I need to give a dedicated hour and a half of my training just to manage their set pieces. Even if they're not even going to utilize it, I don't know if they're going to utilize it against me. But I'm already 1.5 hour behind the prep, and I think this is where it is very important to appreciate what he has done with this club. And you very well pointed out with respect to the mastery that they have somehow achieved in terms of how they deliver it. It seems like a very choreographed move. It seems like they do it on the daily basis. They know exactly in which spaces which players has to go. It's not like कि वो आ करके उन्होंने कर दिया. It's like they do rehearsal of this, जहाँ पर they try to screen the other players, they try to break where the important zones are, where their key defenders are going to be situated, where you need to have your defenders with respect to delivery, the pinpoint delivery of both Saka and Rice, which is very understated in my opinion because people really don't talk about it enough. And you pointed out the contrast as well. Like when Saka and Rice are not taking those corners, the difference in quality is like too much. It is almost it is almost like 50% lesser chance of them scoring the goal. So these are small details which I feel people don't talk enough. And on that very note, Addy Bhai, I mean, apart from the set pieces that they have somehow exploited or rejuvenated themselves in attacking the set pieces, what are the other tactical things which Mikel did in last 12 to 18 months, which you think is very different to, let's say, an Arteta of 3 years before?
I think he's adapted to situations a lot better compared to what it was before. And I think what he did, I think the saving grace for Arteta this season would have been Berta coming in. I think having a very strong, someone who's very good, who has a strong network of scouting, who knows who knows how scouts work and how which players to get, which players you need. I think that was what we were lacking with Edu. I think Edu was more a people pleaser kind of guy. He was more like a yes man.
Yeah.
So with Berta coming in, I think, and then we needed certain areas to strengthen. And I think Arteta also the mistakes, finishing second last whatever three seasons or 4 seasons, finishing second. I think that's also it's been a learning curve for him. And I think it's more to do with experience. I think experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
There's a saying that always is that experience will always teach you different ways. I think he's learned from from making those mistakes in the past. I understand it's been a long project. It's been 6 years in the making since he's taken over the club. Yes, but I think what has impressed me the most this season is I think he's used that experience. He's used that failure of the past seasons of everything to ensure that that this season, no matter what, we win at all costs. We might play dirty football. We might not play the most eye pleasing football for the fans. But end of the day, the 3 points matter. The results matter. The win matters. And I think that's another thing where Arteta has kind of realize that win at all costs. Don't you literally just hold out and try and hope for a miracle. It's not going to work out. It's never been working out the last couple of seasons. So I think that experience, I think that factor, and I think him being a little more now proactive in terms of at least his man management, his utilization of players in the right positions, bringing on players at the right times. I do still agree that our sending Vaneri on loan would have been was a little bit of an afterthought, an aforementioned thing. He shouldn't have done that. And not utilizing Norgard a lot more. There are a few, but again, he's still a novice manager. He's still getting in grips with the game. I understand 6 years is a long time, yes, but he doesn't have that experience in the past. Arsenal is a big club. So personally, for me, I think experience is the most important. I think I would tout it all down to experience. I think that's where Arteta has completely changed his mindset. He's changed Arsenal as a club on the whole as well. We've always been in a race for a top four. If you look at it before he came in, it was always either to finish in the 4th position just to make it to the Champions League, get that money, get that revenue, and and Hail Mary next season again. Hope we finish in the 4th. But he's got us into a team that is competing now for titles on all fronts, which is a good thing to see for sure.
That's a very, very fair point. I think, Addy Bhai, you summed it very well, as I expect you to. And with regards to City, I think this is the most interesting part. And I think I remember watching one of the documentaries which Man City produced, All or Nothing. And I
Yeah.
remember when Guardiola and Mourinho both came at the helms of both the Manchester clubs, and there was this match between them at Trafford, and Mourinho almost parked the bus in front of them. And I remember the commentator saying something very special that day. He said, like, this is the biggest compliment a manager can give to his subsequent manager if he tells you by setting his team in such a way that he does not want to lose to you. Like, that is the best ever compliment. Like, you can say anything about any manager. Like, I can rage about how beautiful Cruyff was, or how beautiful Pep is and everything, but unless it is there, unless I've seen the change in the way I play, the team plays, or the way they concede to the other team, the amount of respect that they give to them, I am not going to believe a single word these managers say to each other, because it's almost a trash talk things that they do. But I remember when this season, when we came to Emirates, and I think a lot of talk happened post that game as well. And but there was one thing that was very concrete and it was very visible, and it was that Pep has almost torn his entire ethos of the way he plays football. He had almost given up playing the possession based football or slow build up, and he was there. He was just sitting like a duck, waiting for a counter attack, which fortunately for City fans, they got at least one of those goals, but it was never sustainable. And I think that was, for the first time, it was very alarming for all of us City fans. We can make excuses sitting here. I made a lot of excuses because I'm a City fan. I'm going to support the City narrative. I remember speaking to you, Addy Bhai, for the first time, opposed that game, and I said, like, we were playing the third game in a week. We had to travel to Napoli. We had to play United. Then we had to play Arsenal. It takes a lot of stuffing out of it, which is true. But it is not for the first time that we were playing a three game week. So I remember now seeing after how season has panned out, a lot of evidence has now put in front of me, where I need to believe, I need to accept the fact that this is not the Pep Guardiola I loved, in a way that he is not going to attack, or he's not going to control the games that he used to control, which is sad, because for the first time in his career, I feel he has given up on the fact that his team is not as good as, let's say, opposition. It happened. It happened to us in few of the games this season. I remember Arsenal was the first game, and I don't know how to ask this question. Like, did you also feel like now the power has somewhat shifted in terms of who the dominant team is right now? It's a football game, we know. It's a 50-50 chance at the start of the game anybody can win. But did you feel personally, Adi Bhai, and Manas Bhai can of course add into his thoughts as well. Did you guys both personally feel like it is a victory of what Arteta wanted to achieve, was somewhat pipping his master into submitting? Like, अब मैं वो नहीं कर सकता जो मैं usually आर्सेनल के साथ करता था. So how did you feel about that game in particular that happened last game, and about what I just said to you guys?
Yeah, for me, I we spoke after that game as well, and I said the same thing, right? Guardiola would never do that, but I think without Rodri or without Stones stepping into midfield, he doesn't have somebody who can control, right? And then a
Yeah.
lot of money is being spent on Gonzalez and Reinders, who are not particularly going to control your midfield or tempo. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's Rodri, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
probably the best defensive midfielder in the last decade or something.
Yeah.
So obviously that effect is going to be felt, but and later, after like thinking about it and seeing what City have been going through this season, I think Pep has realized that he can't do, like you said, right?
Yeah.
He the City teams, they can't do what they used to do any longer, and obviously the squad is aging. Your main players have played an insane amount of football. They've obviously won an insane amount of trophies.
Yeah.
So there is a natural churn that is required now at City, I feel.
Yeah.
And obviously it has started. If you look at it, January maybe, like, they've spent a lot of money. So there's that. Plus, I think Pep realizes, again, these guys realize very early where the team is going and where the meta of the league is going. So
Yeah.
he's happy to adjust in a way. And I think that speaks a lot to Pep, that he realizes what the team needs in the moment. Like it's
Yeah.
not necessary कि मैं अपना ही football खेलता रहूँगा. Sometimes maybe we also have to suffer. We also have to
Yeah.
sit back. And
Yeah.
you maybe could have done more versus Madrid, like
Yeah.
in the first leg. उसमें एकदम ही 3 गोल खा गए. I felt like it was a little bit of a कहीं like it was sloppy defending as well.
Yeah.
And you've been conceding goals. Like I've noticed this trend where teams are going directly over the top of the last line.
Yeah.
When City's been pressing high up, teams
Yeah.
have been started to go directly over the top. I think Martinelli's goal earlier in the season with the 1-1, and
Yeah.
I mean recently also, right? There are 3 or 4 examples of this,
Yeah.
where teams going through directly through the center. So it's not the same, and more than anybody, Pep realizes that okay, maybe I need a different approach. So I'm more excited about what the next change will be from him if he stays
Yeah.
next season. I don't know if he's what the strategy there is, but if
Yeah.
he stays, what is the next iteration? Because now the team has to go through a rebuild.
Yeah.
I think even Bernardo Silva, your Rodri तो भी खेलेगा. Center back में कौन आएगा? Who's going to be full back?
Right back.
Even
Yeah.
like a lot of money's already been spent on wingers.
Yeah.
I don't know if like Semenyo was the right call for City. Again, like very direct inside forward type player. I thought he'd go to Liverpool. Maybe I think it's a miss from
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting to see what the next iteration of or the meta of Premier League will be, because now everybody is playing the same thing. So somebody
Yeah.
has to pick up and change.
And yeah, and that is a very good point. I think Manas Bhai, you touched upon so many issues that revolves around Man City. And before Addy Bhai comes into the picture, I really want to address this as well. And I feel with respect to how they see Man City is very different to how they saw Man City post like 2 years ago. I thought that there was always a plan with respect to how they want to go ahead. For the first time, I'm not gonna lie, Manas Bhai, I feel really scared with regards to what is going to happen to this Man City. And you touched upon few things that I'm going to address it. One, the Semenyo thing. So, like anybody who watches Premier League or anybody who remotely knows what Semenyo is all about, he is not what City are making him to be. So basically, Pep is now asking him to play on the right side of a diamond in the midfield and to get inside and play as an inverted midfielder. And like that is the worst thing you can ask a direct like winger to do. And I don't know if he can adjust to that or not, but that is a very wrong strategy in my opinion. If you really want him to play like that, or if you wanted your wingers to play like that, then you should have recruited a player who has the ability to do it. And that is where I think we are struggling with the balance as well. And to add to it, as you pointed, a lot of people who don't understand managed by football, I think they hate on Bernardo Silva for nothing. The whole point is we City fans have cribbed and cried for 2 years now, or a year and a half, that we don't have players like Gundogan, we don't have players like De Bruyne, we don't have players like David Silva and all. We cannot control games, right? So basically, the only remaining player in the team, apart from Rodri, that can actually do that role is Bernardo. And now he's going. That is for sure. He's going.
He's
so
leaving.
It is very 100%. He's leaving. So the
Barcelona.
point is,
Inter
I don't know
Miami
where
or
he goes. I don't know where he goes. But he's out of contract, so maybe he might join Barcelona. You never know that. And now it is very important in this curve in the summer window that they find someone exactly how they want this team to be there for like 9-10 years going forward, because Pep is not going to be there. So it's very important for these decision makers to identify what they want to be a post Pep, also to find players who are going to suit that particular manager, which I feel is very tricky. And if they don't get their act together, we might not see City dominating football as they did, because I've seen this is the most important curve. United missed out on that curve. I think a lot of teams have missed out on the curve when they are dominating the league. They don't plan succession very well, and next thing you know, you're down. With emergence of Arsenal, with emergence of Liverpool, with emergence of United and everybody, you need to act swiftly. It is not only about getting the right players. It is also about having the vision as to what you want your team to be. And if you really want to change from being the possession based football to like more direct football, then you need to find a manager who exactly imbibes into that philosophy. Then Luis Enrique is not going to work. So I'm going to ask you, Addy Bhai, like before you address the earlier point, do you think Luis Enrique would want Semenyo to play in a midfield? Matlab, it doesn't make sense, right? He's seeing players like Vitinha and so many to play who are very technical, in my opinion. So that again questions my that again puts me into a spot, and I really want to ask Hugo Vienna, the sporting director, as to what he really wants this team to be, because now Chiki Baristan is no more. Pep would be moving on swiftly. So it is very important. It's a very important curve which Manas Bhai pointed out. कि बहुत जरूरी है यहाँ पर. Let's just address this very, very carefully, because let's just say this out loud, that this season is gone now, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be planning for the seasons ahead. Agar Pep rahe ya na rahe, it doesn't matter. You need to understand how, because the way they are recruiting the players that they found out, they are exactly opposite to what Pep would have wanted in his earlier years. But Addy Bhai, before digressing to the topic, the way Manas Bhai explained, if you want to add something to his points, or if you want to add something that he might have missed, anything that you want to say about that?
I think Manas Bhai got everything spot on. I think he hit the nail on the head with the hammer. The thing with Pep is he's a genius. No matter what people have, what the opinion of what you have about him, he's someone who's achieved almost everything in world football. In at least in terms of in club football, he has this knack of, I think, I don't know whether you'd call it, but I personally I'd call it a little bit of insanity, where he overthinks and overprocesses at times. The Madrid game, playing Semenyo as a number 10 was, again, I think that is another thing which I really didn't understand. And Semenyo, as you said, Piyush Bhai, he's a winger. He loves to take on people. He's known for that.
Yeah.
We've seen him at Bournemouth, where he's given that creative freedom to express himself on the wings. Now you're going to play him in a concise role where he has to help, he has to fall back, help, he has to also initiate and instigate attacks. That's not a role which where Semenyo is familiar with or capable with. And the second thing is, Semenyo's second touch is absolutely horrible. We've seen it at Bournemouth. I think we've seen it at City as well. His second touch, the first touch is good. The second touch is very, 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 very bad. It's something where he needs to work on. I think that's the thing with Pep. He's a genius, but he's got these little moments of insanity where he overthinks things. The 2021 Champions League final, not playing a CDM, not playing Fernandinho in that game, playing with I think De Bruyne and Bernardo were the two midfielders.
De Bruyne, Bernardo, and they played Gundo on a 6.
And Gundo on a 6, exactly.
They flooded, and Addy Bhai, people don't remember, they had Rodri as well on the bench. So they had Fernandinho, they had Rodri, and they did not put a 9 as well. So they had Jesus and Aguero, and they put Sterling as a 9, which made no sense, because Sterling had not played a single knockout game post the first leg of round of 16. Didn't make sense. I mean, Kovacic and Kante almost ate our team that day. ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे बच्चे खेल रहे हैं पार्क में उस गेम में.
And Mount had a brilliant blinder of a
Mount,
game.
Of course, yeah.
Mason Mount. So I think that's the thing with Pep, where I think at times he tries to overthink and overprocess and overcomplicate things. But no matter whatever you have to say about the man is a legend, a legend of the game, man. And there's always this thing. He's won everything at City. He's leaving City with a great legacy behind. If he's going, if he continues to stay. I think then again, as what Manas Bhai said, you guys need to look into rebuilding, because the rebuilding phase definitely has to come in now. You've got crucial people leaving. Bernardo Silva is going to be a big miss in midfield. The fight that he shows in midfield is going to be missed a lot. He'll be one. I think John Stones is another one. The role which he played, where as a third centre back to come into midfield and to help out midfield, that role which he did beautifully. That was again. So there are going to be a few misses. I think you guys need to strengthen again in the summer if Pep decides to stay and decides to again start this rebuilding project. But as what Manas Bhai said, I think you guys need to look into the future. I think Hugo Vienna, your sporting director, literally needs to look at the right players, the players who can fit into whatever exact position. I think Gay was a very good signing. Take nothing away from him. He's been honestly brilliant. He's been very, very, very good. Deserves his England call up. Gay's been a very good sign. I think Semenyo also, fair play to him, man, for all his criticism and everything he does. He's still giving you goals in the Premier League.
That's the point, Addy Bhai. You touched upon it. Like he has been almost spotless. Both those players have been spotless. So I would never blame a Semenyo for the performances that he had against, let's say, a West Ham or a Forest or even Madrid, a first leg, because I feel he was asked to do a job which he had never done. Like growing up, he would never have imagined playing in the midfield of Man City, where like it's a very technical game. It was a game which was full of people who understands the game at the top level. So without even like playing any other time before that, you're just asking him to do a role because it in your head you think that Turkey is not good enough to do it, which again makes me question the recruitment. Like if you don't have the players to do that kind of job, then why do you hire these players? Because there must have been some vision before getting a Turkey. And you are now telling me when season is about to end that you cannot, you think that Turkey, Doku, and Haaland do not sit together well. They do not create the balance that you need. Then you have to find some other answers. Matlab, that is the worst thing that as a City fan I would want to hear from a manager who has done everything for us. You find your answers. You find your answers in a way where you can inculcate all your best players. That is what, in my opinion, is if Turkey is your only creator left in your team, then you need to play him in games where you need to create chances for Haaland. But this is where I feel Pep has somehow, I don't know. Manas, I'm going to ask you this, and this is something, I'm so sorry, we're just talking about City right now, but it's important for me as well, because the way he behaved, or the way his body language was post the second leg of Madrid. I mean, I personally thought that guy has just lost it. He is just out of here. He's not interested in managing anything. The way he was speaking, I mean, I remember like games where City were like half decent, but he would fight with the referees. He would shout at players. He would not sit for 2 minutes in his chairs. He will throw the bottle. He would do some of the other things. But there was a sense of submission when I saw him with that. And a lot of people are making a lot of fun with regards to what shirt he was wearing and all. But it all makes a lot of sense. For the first time, I felt that he himself did not believe that they had it in them to do what people perceive to be remontada, which I also feel it was unrealistic. But you don't want a manager to behave like that, because it stems from him. If he's of the opinion that you can't do it, then you can't do it. You already lost that game. What are your thoughts looking from the outside of a manager who has done almost everything, who has changed the way football has played in England to like almost come to a natural decline? How do you feel about this situation right now with him?
It's just your natural cycle of football, yeah. Like if any manager stays at a club more than 10 years, how long he's been here? 10, right? 10, 11
than
years
10.
now.
This is 10th. This is 10th.
Tenth.
This is the 10th season. So it's your natural progression here. The first two seasons, he spent time building the squad and then bringing him up to a level, and then the next 6-7 years they won everything, and then now it's slowly, that peak se niche aa raha hai, because obviously that those winning teams which they kept adding on and building on top of. Now suddenly, like, there has been a while where maybe recruitment hasn't been around the correct profiles, etc., right? And this is the cycle for any team. Yeah, like let's say tomorrow, 2-3 years down the line, maybe Madrid come and take Declan Rice away. So it's not easy to replace that guy, right? So like there's this natural फिर से वो player ढूंढना, या or maybe trying to replace him in the aggregate. This is natural. This is the natural cycle of football. But how you manage it, you don't let it get away from you. And you've seen evidence of this with United, with Arsenal, where that rebalancing of the squad takes 3, 4, 5, 6 years. But you don't want those 6 years to happen. Like वो बहुत लंबा हो जाता है. United के तो 10 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए. Arsenal के कितना टाइम हो गया है. Liverpool again, I would say they spend the money on top of a title winning team, but that Isak signing वो थोड़ा गलत extra कर दिया उन्होंने. Like you bought equity here. Why are you spending another 150 million भाई or 125 million on another striker? Senseless है वो. When you know the natural progression of the team would be to first replace Salah, and then you have to obviously think about succession of Van Dijk. Konate is leaving. So you know where to spend your money, and they will spend money this summer. You see how
they
much
have
money
to. They have to. They have to. Bhai, they have to 100%.
But in terms of Turkey, I think there is again. I have a suspicion that. By the way, if your player like Shurki is available, you sign him. I was incensed that we were not even in for him, and they ended up getting him for 20-25 billion. It's crazy money for somebody like Shurki.
Yeah.
Once in a generation level of player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think there is like this. This is a suspicion or a hunch. This is a hunch from my end that he's already planning for the next iteration of what he would like to play
So
at some level.
so what is that? If you want to elaborate on it, like
I'm not
what
sure
how do
what
you
will
see?
happen. I think
Okay.
it will go from. I think it will go from. Obviously, he's not going to stop trying to control games with the ball, because
Yeah.
that's essentially his philosophy. But maybe a little less positional rigidity in terms of like positional play. Maybe you don't have to strictly stay in the 5 zones when you're attacking.
Yeah.
Turkey anyway doesn't do that. I think it
Yeah.
that is why that's what make that is the characteristic that makes him mad a little bit, and
Yeah.
probably why you see him getting dropped out of games,
Yeah.
because you can't control that level of talent, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
let them play. वो कभी
Yeah.
लेफ्ट पे जाएगा, वो उसको बोलता है कि भाई you stay out of the wing, but नहीं, he has
Yeah.
to come in. So like these guys feel the game and they play on their own. And again, it's not your job to control every
Yeah.
aspect of that. Your job is to get the team reliably from the goalkeeper to the final third, and then you
Yeah.
let your players do the thing. So every aspect you can't. And this is, by the way, I'm not saying this. This is Guardiola only said this.
Yeah.
I'm just like literally quoting him.
Yeah.
So I think he's also there is a intention of the next iteration. I'm not sure what it will be. My hunch is that it's going to start with allowing a little bit more freedom of movement within positional frameworks. So positional play
Yeah.
is more zonal, where
Yeah.
you wait for the ball to come to you, but you allow your creative midfielders now more position. So I think we saw that at the start of the season with Arsenal. Odegaard was getting a lot more horizontal leeway
Yeah.
of like leaving his zones and going here and there. But then again, uska pura season start and stop ho gaya.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think that is where the league has to naturally progress. तो if
Yeah.
अगर स्पेक्ट्रम है कि कंट्रोल वर्सेस फ्रीडम, तो अभी हम लोग थोड़ा इस एंड ऑफ द स्पेक्ट्रम पे हैं. It has to like rebalance itself,
Yeah.
right? Because squads are built towards
It's
control now.
yeah, and that is a very fair point. And again, this is a very deep point that you touched upon, Manoj bhai. You need matlab, people at that very top level, they know where meta is going to be. At least their projections are
Already
quite
planning for
right.
2 years कि भाई कहाँ पे
100%.
गेम जा सकता है.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you have to change it first. You
Yeah.
can't wait for
If you want to
anybody
take the
else to come
advantage.
and do
Yeah.
it. So you
Yeah.
have to establish
100%.
that advantage. And in that sense, I would say, I don't know if Pep will stay. I really want him to fuck off now. I'm tired of him. भाई जा भाई दूसरों को जीतने दे यार. But if he goes and let's say somebody like an Enrique comes or somebody else from
Yeah.
wherever, maybe
Okay.
like Luis Enrique, we know he likes to play attacking football. He's not going to sit and like control.
Yeah.
So he's going to
Yeah.
be very direct. So, and if he starts winning, so people will start now going towards that matter, right? More
That's
direct.
right.
And I think the team who I was assuming was the best positioned as an anti-meta to what the league is right now is Liverpool. And they have shown it
Yeah.
with Klopp in the past, right? Pep said that
Yeah.
he's the toughest coach
Yeah.
that he's faced. They were very well positioned to it. I don't know क्या उन्होंने इस season किया है. I don't understand.
Let's just touch upon that, Manas bhai. I'll ask Addy bhai first, and I think that's a very fair point, because you need to be anti-meta if you want to do something in this league, because the way the amount of money that is involved, the amount of technical staff that is involved, if you just sit and wait for people to show you the way, you'll be always be behind the 8 ball, and then you're never catching up. That is how the league has become right now, like in like 10 12 years. And as Manoj bhai said, I also felt the way they signed the players, the season that Salah had prior to this season, and with people like Wirtz and everybody who were very attacking, in my opinion. I don't know what happened. Do you think, Addy bhai, is it down to manager of Liverpool not being good enough to actually utilize the potential talent that he has, or do you feel it is not only the manager? There are a lot other factors that have like contributed to them not performing the way we all anticipate them to be this season.
I think it's a mixture of both, Piyush, but I think it's there has to be a blame. There has to be onus on Slot. His tactics have been found out. We did see that towards the latter end of last season, where I think post February, March, Liverpool started having a lot of bad games, as in games where they were somehow getting draws out of it, but it was very lackluster performance. It wasn't, the Liverpool that we're used to seeing, always playing high pressing, attacking, the heavy metal type of football
Yeah.
that we initially saw when Slot came in. That's what they were exactly doing. I think they kind of got found out towards the end of last season. And then, I think it's also partly to blame. I think the selling of Trent. I think Trent offers a completely different dimension to Liverpool's attack, and I think he was a
Yeah.
big miss. And I don't think he was replaced aptly. See, taking nothing away from Frimpong. Frimpong is again, someone I would compare Frimpong very similar to how Doku is. He loves to dribble on the ball. He very good when played on the wings. But what Trent had that that dead ball, that ability to put a ball over on top to find anyone from anywhere, from any angle, which is where
Yeah.
Salah exactly thrived on such situations. And
Yeah.
then the factors where I was talking about, where I said it's a mixture of both, is I think factors like the passing of Diego Jota. I think
Yeah.
that will also leave a lasting impact on a club. When you have a player,
Yeah.
and he trust me, he was a brilliant player. He was honestly a
Yeah.
very good player, a player who was
Yeah.
definitely will be missed at Liverpool. So I think those factors also tend they kind of affected the squad. And then I would also say players just not really adapting to whatever the roles they were assigned. I think Konate has had a few absolute blinders. I think today he was absolutely poor. There are
Yeah.
sometimes where he's really good. There are again. So I think consistency wise, a lot of players have been really bad in that aspect. Again, Kirkes was again one of the best left backs in the Premier League, but was he exactly someone what Liverpool needed? I
Yeah.
think Simikas would have suited the role way better because he was already implemented in that squad. He had that chemistry, and then
Yeah.
selling of Diaz. I think that was a very that was
Bad
that
decision. So they
was a
basically, about more than what they recruited. If you basically pointed out the way the players that they left from the
true.
squad. I think that also caused a lot of. And again, that is such a fair point, and that's such a good way to look at why they have not succeeded. I think Matt Nona pointed out very well. I think this is what I also feel like. Slot is not someone who actually understand what meta is all about. I think he is very much influenced by the way football is played in the modern day. I think the way he speaks about PSG, Enrique, and everything. I think you need to be ahead of the curve. You can't be following PSG because PSG is going to change in 2 years. Like they're not going to play the same football. Neither City are going to play the same way. Neither Arsenal are going to play the same way. And if you seriously want to compete with likes of these teams, you need to do something which is very different to, let's say, what they are doing right now. And just getting back to the discussion of the final, because I kind of swept away by the detailing which Manas Bhai and Addy Bhai had with respect to how the league is turning out to be. But not getting swayed away with that, we just need to talk about the game in hand as well. And I think you touched upon it very well, Manas Bhai. I mean, the emphasis and the importance of what Rodri is to Man City. People just write him off so early just because he has one or two bad games. People just think that he's not going to be the Rodri of like the yesteryears, or the Rodri that dominated the league. You people just don't understand how difficult it is to be a Rodri in a Man City. First of all, because he is now come into a team which is exactly opposite to what he was when he left in injury. So this is not the way he wants to play. Pep has changed, and it takes a lot of time to adjust. Even for Rodri, it is going to take a few more months to actually understand what Pep really wants him to be. And I think this is where people just don't talk about what is actually the issue. They just tell you that Rodri का performance foot mob में ऐसा दिखा रहा है, which is a very unfair way to judge any player. और जैसे आपने जो चर्की वाली बात की थी, this is where I really I don't get into the discussions because again I'm not being entitled and all, but this is where if people don't understand what Pep wants Foden to be, then it is very unfair to judge Foden on his numbers. Because जैसे आपने बोला, Cherky, he has now realized that Cherky is not going to be the player that you want him to be. That he's not going to be a defensive player. He's not going to track you back. He's not going to hold position because that is not his nature. But Foden, even though he is very creative, but Pep has now, since he is there with Pep for like 7-8 years, he has transformed him to be a robot. So if Pep wants him to play deep, he would play deep. Pep wants to play him on the right, be defensive ball, he'll be doing the defensive. Pep wants him to shoot from the box, he will shoot from the box. And that is why the variable is very different to, let's say, any other person. That there's no other person whom you can compare Foden with. तो जब उसके numbers high जाते हैं, it is because Pep wants him to be in those positions, to take those shots. और जब उसके numbers कम होते हैं, I think he is being asked to do something else. I am not taking the fact away that he has been very inconsistent. No, not at all. I am saying that the quality that he has, or the player that he should be doing a lot more for Man City. And it's fair. The criticism is fair, but pitting him by saying like he's been a flop and he does not do anything, I think that's just very, very, let's say, very unnecessary. Someone who don't understand what Pep is all about. But with respect to this game, I think for me this particular game is hinging upon two very, very technically gifted midfielders of modern day, Rice and Rodri. And I feel even though there is a lot of stake, I think the way both those teams are going to play in this particular game is going to be dominated by the fact how these two players are going to play. Both for me are like supreme. Rodri has been very good for so many years, but this year, of course, because of injuries and inconsistency, he's not at that level. But Rice, in few years that I've seen, like two years now, he's been ever consistent, and he is the focal point because of which Arsenal works so well. My point to you both guys, one by one, first Manas bhai can, but how do you see this battle panning out in the game? Do you also feel these are the two most essential players for those two teams, or do you feel different to what I feel personally?
Of course. I think Rodri is Rodri, but I don't think Rodri is Rodri from 2 years ago because of the
Yeah.
ACL.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he has recovered completely.
Yeah.
Maybe he takes another. This season is maybe a write-off for him. He needs to come back to full fitness because it's obvious, right? He's lost maybe half a yard.
Yeah.
So he's getting bypassed very easily in midfield. And he used to do the cynical fouling with Fernandinho, which they made famous.
Yeah.
वो भी नहीं कर पा रहा है because he's not like getting closer to players. But in terms of the battle, I think I'm feeling that we have a better lineup of like people that we can put out. I think Calafiori is also back. Odegaard is back. Havertz is back. I think we have a full squad available. Even Timber is available. So I think more than midfield, I don't know how this will pan out. Probably, yeah, midfield battle to hey. But let's see if Pep decides to press high up or he again decides to set off a little bit, depending. But I think City will want to give this game a fair go
Yeah.
because of how the recent games have gone, plus Champions League has gone. So this is a marker sort of game that we have to win this.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very similar sort of a battle. I'm not sure it's a midfield battle per se. Highly tactical game to hoga hi, obviously.
Yeah.
But let's see if they decide to press us. Do we take advantage of the high line? Do we start Havertz or do we start Gyökeres? Again, these decisions could make or break how the game pans out.
So Manas bhai, really, I mean, you touched upon it again beautifully. Now the problem with that line of questioning is like I don't think Pep is in the position to tell Arteta as to how he wants to play. I think he's on the back foot right now. It is Arteta who's going to dictate this game because of the momentum that he's carrying, because of the players that they have right now, and how confident they are. I think City are going to be on the back foot. So if anything is true, I feel it is on Arteta whether he would play a high line against Man City. Would he risk that thing where if you get bypassed by just one ball from either one of our midfielders, be it Rodri or someone, and then you enable Haaland to just have a free run against Raya, or maybe he would allow Pep to have the ball, which I don't think so. Pep players are comfortable right now because they have not been playing that way football. So it is more on Arteta, I feel, how he dictates the game. But on that, I mean, Addy Bhai, how do you see this game being set up personally? How do you feel? What are the things that are going to be important for Arsenal to go well, for them to put over City with this trophy?
I think number one would be definitely the team lineup. I was going through listening to a few of the other Arsenal streamers, globally, listening to a few of their podcasts wherein they were debating who's going to start in goal, whether it's going to be Raya or Kepa, since Kepa has started the entirety of the competition so far, right from the from round one till now. He's been our number one in the Carabao Cup. So I think that leaves a couple of questions. There were again a bit of a debate whether Timber should start this game or should Ben White start this game. So I think it's again down to the team lineup, as what even Manas Bhai said, whether Havertz starts or Gyökeres starts or Jesus starts. You know, or does Odegaard come into midfield? Does Eze start? So there are a lot of questions. I think it primarily depends on the lineup. But again, I think the main battle is definitely going to be Rodri versus Rice in midfield, and both are for sure going to start the game for sure. You know, both are world class players. Rodri definitely, as what you said, you know, after the ACL, post ACL, he's been a little bit, you know, I would probably say he's been a shadow of what he was. I mean, the Rodri of before was just unplayable, man, completely unplayable. He was a literally one-man tank in midfield. Very hard to get past, very hard to bypass, very creative. We saw that in the Euros with Spain as well, where he single-handedly man-marshaled that midfield, along with City as well. So he's no more I think post that ACL injury, he's lost again a couple of yards on his pace. I think his reading of the game again a little bit he needs to tinker that. So I think maybe this season will probably be a transition for him, and the next season he gets back to his old self. That being said, you know, Rice is having an absolute blinder of a season. I think he's been one of Arsenal's best players this season. You know, single-handedly driving our midfield, you know, up and down defensively, you know, always there. Can rely on him. Finds these bit of pockets of spaces. Can play as a number 8. Can play as a number 6. Can play box to box, which is, you know, again, versatility. I think that's one of the key aspects of Rice's CV. I think his versatility is insane. And then we were talking about his set piece deliveries. You know, his free kicks, we saw that against Madrid last season. His deliveries from corners have been absolutely pinpoint, absolutely brilliant this season. So I think midfield will be a very, very, very key aspect in this game. For sure, definitely the Rice versus Rodri battle will definitely have a say, you know, on which team comes again. But I think talking about tactics again, it depends. I personally, you know, taking away, you know, all the form from the Champions League and from the Premier League, it's a cup final. So basically, form will go out of the window on the day which whoever's the better team, that team deserves to win. And you know, Guardiola has had massive success in this competition. I think City, it's been one of his favorite competitions, man. I think you guys have won it 5 or 6 times, please, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, pre-Guardiola as well, I remember them winning like 3-4 titles, this EFL Cup. I think Pellegrini won it twice. I think Mancini won it once. I think, and he came up with like, I think two or three times that he has also won it. So yeah, I mean, he's been...
So, one of your favorite competitions. I agree. Last season was a bit of a blemish with Crystal Palace, where on the day Palace were the better side. I mean, they got that goal. It was just luck, you know. But again, as you said, I think form goes out of the window. I'm very, very interested to see how Guardiola sets up. But I don't think he'll sit back and, you know, tell his players to play a little more of a defensive-minded football. I think he'll go in with the mindset of, you know, trying to attack. And I think he'll realize from whatever mistakes he made at Madrid, where, you know, Semenyo not working as a number 10, playing Semenyo on the wing. I think there, and playing Cherki as a number 10. I think, you know, there a little bit of tinkering I would love to see, because I would love to see. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
I mean, beautifully pointed out, Addy Bhai. And I think this game is such a big spectacle for such individual battles as well. I really want to see Doku play against Timber. I mean, that is one individual battle that I'm really interested. I really want to see Nico O'Reilly play in the midfield. How he counters, let's say, a Zubi and a Rice duo, because I seriously feel that is going to be his biggest test. I don't know how Bernardo is going to pan out, because you never know with Bernardo where he comes up, and who again the most watched battle would be with Gabriel Saliba against Haaland. Haaland has not been at his best, and I think that is the point where you need to attack us again. One more point that I think one of our chat members said that is it true Donner is not playing? No, he's not. I think it's a policy of Pep Guardiola that he does not play his first keeper in the in cup competitions. He has never played it. I remember we reaching so many finals. He always played either Stefan Ortega or Jack Stefan, or maybe Willy Caballero even before that. And Claudio Bravo for brief time. Ederson hardly played any cup final. I think he made it very clear that he's not going to play Donnarumma, and I think maybe Arteta also does not play Raya. But I feel that would be stupid. I think you need to play Raya, because I think the form that he is in right now, he is very essential. If at all, this is one game where if at all Arsenal really wanted to play Kepa, they should not play Kepa. They should play Raya, because the way City are positioned right now, if we cannot, it's very difficult for us to create chances, and then when we get chances, it's very difficult for us to score those chances. So you need a very good keeper there. But Manas bhai, I want to ask you this one question with regards to how you basically are going to set it up against Man City. Watching Arsenal for so long, and in particular this year, you must have seen there are various forms of Arsenal. So Arsenal has not played one-dimensional football. So they have adapted very well against, like say, the opposition in front of them. So if an opposition demands them to sit back, they would sit back. They're very happy to sit back. If there's a game to be played, they're very well equipped to play the game as well. And I remember them changing the tactics midway as well, and that is testament to what Arteta has done to this team. What do you feel is their biggest strength? I mean, as a fan, which is that one style of play that you are most comfortable watching Arsenal play? Like, is it the possession-based football, or do you feel they're most destructive when they sit back in a mid block and they turn over the possession with Martinelli and everybody? What is that one thing that you really want to see in this particular final?
I would want to see us start on the front foot and press higher and press really aggressively, at least in the first 20-25 minutes, and see if we can take the lead there. Because pressing for 90 minutes that high up is probably not the right way to go about it. And then if the press gets bypassed on certain occasions, I would also want us to come back quickly into the mid block, which we know how to do. We are a very good hybrid pressing team. And a good example of this is if you watch the recent games from Newcastle, Barcelona in the Champions League, and Spurs, Atleti, and this PSG game. Everybody wants to high press, but people don't know when to drop off.
Yeah.
And like obviously, Newcastle paid the price for
In the
pressing
second
really,
half.
but not pressing the ball carrier. So very simple mistakes in the press. So I would want us to press really, really aggressively, because I think there is a chance of turning over the possession, and depriving City of the ball is, sort of trying to play against what they actually want to do in the game.
Yeah.
Trying to put them on the defensive back foot.
Yeah.
I would want to approach the game like that and very positively go for it. Not be scared, go for it. Because I think this game can sort of change the feeling of the season in a certain way, right? For City, if they win, like now, okay, we want to keep competing, 9 points behind with the game in hand. They want to like keep that pressure up against Arsenal. But let's say if we win, so this is a great boost for us going into the league. And the next league game is like now maybe a month away. Abhi FA Cup hoga, international break ke the league game will happen, right? Next league game. That's mid of April. So plenty of time. So let's see. I would want us to approach it with a very positive way. I imagine.
Yeah. Addy Bhai, your key takeaway from how you want to see Arsenal approach this particular final?
I don't think anything different. I think whatever we've been doing this season, just continue and keep doing the same. I don't think Arteta should tinker much with the squad or tinker much with his tactics. I think whatever is going. So there's this saying, if it's not broke, why even fix it? So let's just continue doing what we've been doing this season. Not playing that attractive brand of football, yes, but at least as long as it tends to get us results. And this is definitely an important competition. I know. I cannot stress enough that how morale inducing this a win in the Carabao Cup will be. Definitely even for the squad, even for the mentality of the players who've always been there, come so close to the finish line, but have never been able to cross the finish line. So definitely in terms of morale and in terms of mentality, I think this competition is something that that Arsenal and Arteta should not ignore, for sure, should not take lightly. And definitely, man, if you look at the opposition in Man City, the team is one of the stalwarts of Europe for I think more than a decade now. You guys have dominated European football. You guys have dominated English football. You guys are one of the best teams in the world, no matter what. Even if you're going through a transition, you guys are still deadly enough. So take nothing away from Man City. I think Arsenal should just go with the same mentality and the same mindset of that no matter what, try and get a win. hit City with that brand of physical football, a little bit of physical, impose yourself, try and try and work through their midfield. I don't think I've seen there are a few games where we kind of do manage to score and then sit back and allow pressure and allow the opposition to come and dictate play. I don't want to see
Yeah.
that because City is a team that can definitely punish you if you give time and you definitely time. If you give City players time on the ball, they will punish you for sure. We've seen that at the
Yeah.
start of the season. That one long ball through, and then Haaland was clean through goal, and then it took Arsenal a lot. We literally tried to break open, but it was till that last moment of brilliance from Eze when he came on and played
Yeah.
that long pass to Martinelli.
Yeah.
I don't want us to do that. I want us to still play that expressive, free-flowing football, but also be vigilant at the back what we're doing. So that's how I just
Yeah.
want the whatever we're doing, just continue to do it, just focus because this competition is important. It's a must-win for Arsenal.
Yeah, and very beautifully put, Addy Bhai, I think. And as a City fan, like that, the worst feeling that I get watching Man City under Pep Guardiola and the way these players play is like if they're deprived of the ball early in the game, like Manas Bhai just said. If they are not given the ball for let's say 5-10 minutes, even if they're not like the other team is not threatening enough, just the sheer deprivation of them not having the ball at their feet drives them crazy, and they leave their zones, they press very highly, and that is where you induce a lot of mistakes from these teams, even though this team is really fairly very experienced, but they are in a very difficult moment. They're doubting everything that they're doing because nothing has worked for them this season. Whatever they have tried, it hasn't worked. And I personally feel tactically in both the games, Man City were better than Madrid. But in terms of quality, the way Madrid approached that game was very different because they knew they'll get chances. They just need to finish those chances off. And as soon as the first goal went, I think it was very difficult for Man City to sit back. And this is going to be the same team with Arsenal as well. Let's say the game starts in the first 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. If Arsenal are up for it, if Arsenal are pressing City very highly, if they're taking the 50 chances and getting those slide tackles on and threatening City and telling them that we are also here to play the football that we play better than you, that is where you can exploit City. But if you allow City to just have this 15 minute of calmness with the ball, that City is very different to any other City that anybody knows. I think it's very important for Arsenal to approach the game as if they really want to kill it in the first 15 minutes, because Madrid did exactly that to us. I'm not
Because
saying in no shape or form I'm saying that Arsenal are not good enough to do something different to that style. Of course, they have various avenues to attack City, but why invite so much pressure on yourself when you have them on your, like, say, hands? Like, this City is not there like the City of yesterday who's going to have like different players attacking from different. There's only one way that they play. They basically are a very vertical team in nowadays. They don't believe in possession football. They really want to just go for the ball, and they're very direct in that way. And which again is very very sad to see, because I don't like to see that kind of football. It's not what I enjoy. But we are just about to finish the show, and before we do, I just want to ask this one question, which I don't know if most of the Arsenal fans might be interested with. And before we finish up, I think I'm not going to do the boring 11-11. That does not make sense to me, because a lot of factors needs to come into play before we decide as to who the 11 players are going to play. Because a lot of players are very good, and anybody can play on that day. So, but there's one position that I'm really interested in, because I personally found. I never understood why it happened, and I thought, why not ask the two Arsenal creators that I have right now. So what is the difference of Arsenal playing with a Havertz? Oh, sorry, Odegaard, to an Arsenal playing with Eze. Like, what are the major difference that you guys see? Manoj bhai, I would let you speak first.
I think in terms of just very basic tactical difference between Eze doesn't come to the ball often. I think he holds his zone much more than Odegaard, and Odegaard is somebody who likes to feel the game a little bit more. But you can instruct him to stay higher up, but he likes to come deeper a lot more and get a lot more touches. So basic difference is this. But plus, I think Eze has played a lot more central than Odegaard ever has for us. Specifically, I think our recent turn of form also is after Odegaard's injury, and since Eze has built up that fitness to play game after game after game, plus keep up the counter press, keep up the falling back into the defensive line, has come where he's sort of played in the central zone, slightly behind the striker. And you see a lot of his goals have come from zone 14 as well. From the central spaces, he scored on Spurs, Champions League.
Yeah.
So
Against
all of those
Leverkusen.
goals versus Leverkusen. A lot of his goals have come from things like that, playing in those zones. But Odegaard sort of likes to feel the ball. He'll come central, but not a lot of his receptions come central. He's a better understanding on the right side with Saka. But you don't see Eze sort of drifting a lot.
So what do you prefer, Manas bhai? As an Arsenal fan, which role do you prefer the most?
I like what Eze is doing, so I would like to lean into that a little bit more. But if Odegaard is fit, I think he just plays. You can't really keep him out of the team because he's sort of like the captain, technical leader, press leader. He knows, he sets the tempo for the press. He does a lot more in terms of what Arsenal play football as. But Eze has given us something different, right? And we've barely seen any games this season where Eze, a lot of people assumed that he would play from the left and then come central, but वो वही नहीं है season. So that because that left side probably gets a little bit unbalanced. And then who do you start left back when Eze is playing as the left wing also is very important. I think you can't play an Nkapie there. You have to play a Calafiori. So, and with Calafiori also, he gets injured a lot. So वो भी नहीं हुआ है. So I'm assuming I've liked the Eze role. He sort of stays and waits for the ball to come to him when those spaces open up in the central spaces.
And I think it's that role is suits Gyökeres even more, better than what Eze does is where he actually thrives. I am no one to comment because I don't watch Arsenal in detail, so I'm not going to say कि Odegaard खेलता है तो कम effective है और Eze खेलता है तो ज़्यादा effective. It just looks that way that he's far more comfortable with Eze just playing behind him. But Addy Bhai, your personal preference between Eze and Odegaard, and a follow-up question to that as well: Do you see them both playing ever? If not this game, ever together in a midfield?
I think that would have been a dream midfield, definitely. Having Rice at the back, having Eze and Odegaard on top, and then supplying the lines, because I think they both kind of complement. The thing which Eze doesn't have is Eze doesn't have the thing of ability of him to track back or to press high, continue to maintain that gegen pressing which is required, which Odegaard does naturally. The second thing with Eze, he's quick feet. He's got really quick feet. He can dribble pass. He can cut past people. He has that good knack sense. Odegaard is a brilliant passer of the ball. He tends to find these little pockets of spaces, get into those pockets of spaces, and then try and play a 1-2 or try and play a through ball. I think post his injury, Odegaard's kind of regressed in that manner wherein he's not able to. He tends to dilly-dally a little bit too long on the ball. Tends to make the wrong passes at the wrong time. Tends to go and play a backward pass or a sideways pass. I think he's been restricted in that way, where I think Arteta has kind of told him that do the simple things, don't do the things of what you did back in 2022, where where you used to drive the team forward, single-handedly take the ball, cut past people, try and then release Saka on the wings. And as what Manas Bhai said, I think Odegaard and Saka have that understanding. If you've noticed that, they're always, whenever Saka does have the ball on the wing, Odegaard is always around him, somewhere there to receive that ball, and then try and look for that through pass. Personally, I would prefer Eze starting. I think Eze is in that little bit of a green patch of form. His goal against Leverkusen was brilliant. And he has this knack of, against where Eze is pretty effective against low block teams, against teams that, tend to play a little bit of a low block. Eze tends to, shine in such games where he's been given a little more creativity, a little more time on the ball, where he can implement himself more on the game. But the City game, I think it's just down to, match fitness. And I think Odegaard he's back, but he's not a full 100%. I personally, I think Eze should start the game, and I would go ahead with starting with Eze. It'll be fun to see. I'm interested to see how Eze plays in that against that City midfield of Bernardo, Rodri, whoever else is if Rangers is going to start. It'll be fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to seeing Eze play in that role.
Brilliant stuff, Addy Bhai. Just last two questions before we end the stream. Anas Bhai, who do you prefer between Martinelli and Trossard on the left?
Yeah, but I
against
think
City,
Martinelli.
specifically City, the way City is going to set it up, because we're going to play Matthias Nunes. So, who do you think
Hmm.
is the best possible exploiter of that space for you?
I would start. I think Calafiori is going to start at left back. I would start with um, Trossard, because I think he's sort of created from the left uh, a little bit more this season. And then I would look to bring Martinelli off at the end if required as a finisher,
Yeah,
to stretch perhaps the
Tired legs.
defense
yeah,
and tired legs. So I would go with that. And I'm sort of like bit disappointed in Martinelli, how his career has panned out over the last 3 years. Hasn't really pushed on in a way that Saka has. I
yeah,
think he's hit that sort of ceiling where he hasn't progressed much,
yeah,
right? So I think he might also be replaced this year in the summer, because we definitely need an upgrade on the left wing.
yeah,
Like, we can't ignore it any longer. We've already ignored it for 2 years.
yeah,
So I would start Trossard. I think he's sort of like gives that creative balance from the left side to start with, I would say.
yeah. Addy Bhai, any injury concerns before the game? I mean, like any big player who's going to miss this final?
Not really with Piyush, but I think everyone, I think as what Manas Bhai said, I think everyone is back. Everyone is back in the squad. I think we just had a few injuries in terms of, I think Odegaard was the only one who was out, and Ben White
Yeah,
and Timber, but I think all three are now back. They were
yeah,
seen in training recently. So in terms of injuries, I don't think that way we've been pretty lucky. I think you guys have been very unlucky with your injuries. I think Kusanov and Guardiola and all that tends to affect you guys a bit. But I think Arsenal have the full squad, and I think
yeah.
we should be able to field our strongest 11.
Brilliant, brilliant. So Saka starts. When there was a certain report that he might leave, but he's going to start, right? Saka
Yeah,
start
yeah,
on the
he's
right.
back for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
yeah.
I think it should be Raya for sure. Though there are rumors saying that Kepa might still Arteta might still prefer starting
Yeah,
Kepa over Raya, but I think it'll be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, or Hincapié. That's where I have a little bit of a doubt. I think Hincapié starts this game and then Calafiori maybe comes on, depending on the result and depending on how the game goes. Because I think Hincapié
yeah,
has that thing of that aggression, and he has this knack of again dropping into midfield, trying to supply, trying to help out on the left wing, on the left hand side of midfield as well. He's got that tenacity, that raw tenacity, that pitbullness. They use that term, that pitbullness, where that aggression, you have that ruthless aggression type, which I
yeah.
really like in Hincapié. I think it's been ages since I've seen any Arsenal defender, with that kind of doggedness in them. We're not releasing the man, always coming up with these small nitty gritty fouls, just a slight little tug of the shirt, and
Uh,
then,
The last I remember was Koscielny, if I'm correct. I mean, Koscielny was the last person which I thought had that knack of like almost like killing himself on the ground, but not letting the other striker or the
letting the option
forward
get
player.
past him,
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah,
yeah. And he was unlucky with injuries as well. So that's the thing I like about
yeah.
Hincapié. So I think he starts, and then it'll be Rice, Zubimendi, and Eze in midfield with Trossard on the left, Saka on the right, and we'll have Gyökeres on top.
Perfect, perfect. Just last question before we end up, boys. I mean, Manas, by your score predictions and any one player that you're actually looking forward to play for Arsenal and for City, both one by one. You can go ahead and tell one by one.
Score prediction. Well, I'm terrible at these. I think we'll win this 3-2.
Ooh.
And
In a
score
normal time
in
or
normal time. In
okay.
normal time. And I'm looking forward to a good performance from Eze, and maybe if Havertz starts.
Havertz. So
But
where do you start Havertz? By the way, that's interesting.
field striker. It's
So
either going to be
ahead of
Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be
personally, who would you want to start, Gyökeres or Havertz?
I'd start with again depends. If Eze plays, I'll go Gyökeres from the start, or actually I'd go Havertz from the start, because he
Hmm.
gives you an outball from if City decide to press us high up, and then bring Gyökeres on maybe 65, 70 minutes if we still require a goal.
Yeah.
I go with that
Such.
sort of
I mean, I envy Arsenal, bhai. I mean, what So you were telling me you're going to bring in Martinelli post 65 minutes. You were telling me you're going to bring Gyökeres post 70 minutes. Where do we go from here? But on that note, Hadi, by your final predictions with respect to scorelines and two players that you really are looking forward to watch. And Manas, by your City player, if there's any player that you are looking forward to watch this game.
Doku, obviously, yeah, I always enjoy watching Doku play, but I'm very frustrated with, like, I know what he's going to do, and it's still very hard to stop him.
It's almost impossible.
Almost impossible. So you sort of don't show him on the outside, like he can go anywhere. But yeah, Doku though is always, and obviously, yeah, Haaland is Haaland. Even though like he's only scored 4 goals since December, but you still have to like respect and shut him out.
Yeah,
he's world class. That's the thing with
Hadi,
world
by
class
your
players. Right? They'll have this time where they'll barely have they'll have like a season where they'll probably 2-3 months they'll score 4 goals and then suddenly they'll come up with a hat trick and then they'll just start banging goals for fun. I think Haaland is that kind of player. You can never call him or tell him that he's out of form. He's that kind of guy who'll be quiet for maybe 85 minutes of the match, and then that 5 minutes he'll come in and give you 2 goals. He's that kind of a striker. So definitely, I think Haaland is one. I think what Manas Bhai said, yes, Haaland, Doku. The thing I love about Doku is he reminds me of that old school wingers where we grew up watching Premier League wingers, man. If you remember, there was this winger called Charles Nzogbia who played at Newcastle. Very similar in terms of his ability to take on people, those step overs, the way he used to cut inside and then outside, made me fall in love with wingers. Whereas now you see, wingers are just supposed to be doing one job where beat your man, put a cross in. You don't have that ability where you stop, you do these step overs, you do these little bit of skills, and then you cut from inside, you cut from outside, you dribble past. So Doku, he makes me fall in love with with football again in terms of at least watching a winger play. That pure adrenaline rush you get when you beat a man or when you basically beat a couple of defenders with your footwork and your quick feet. Doku definitely is one. I think Cherki is another one. Very 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 talented player. I'm a France supporter. I've been following France. I think France was actually the first football match that I watched was the 1998 World Cup Finals, France versus Brazil. So ever since then, I've been a France fan. So Turkey, man, definitely big.
Shoki as well, yeah. My favorite City player currently.
Has to be Ryan Cherki. I think the guy is on his days is unplayable. He's still finding his feet at the club. I mean, Pella season, you can't judge him so harsh. Give him time to adapt, and he'll definitely be like a David Silva in the future, man. He's got that ability and that potential. He's such a good player, so calm on the ball, so relaxed, finds those pockets of spaces very well. Got a very good foot. I think he needs to, the final decision making. I think that's where, but he's young. He's barely, I think, 20. If I'm not wrong.
22. I think he's 22. Yeah, 21, 22. I'm also not sure. It's
which is still very young, Pishbhai. I think, and all that will come with your maturity and experience. So I think he's definitely one of the players. I think City will, if the rebuilding does continue on, they will be around him. The team will completely be built around Ryan Cherki. Pishbhai, what is your starting level? What do you think City? How do you think
City that's a very tricky question, Addy Bhai. And I'm not going to sit on the fence. I think the best possible chance that City has is to play the same team that they played against Madrid in the second leg, which includes Cherki and it includes Kusanov, which I feel Kusanov has to play because Gehi cannot play this game because of the FA rules or whatever. So I think he's going to play. He's going to play Kusanov. Kusanov is very important for us. If we play the high line, that is, he's very important because he's the only person who can actually cover the spaces. I don't know if Rodri is fit enough after that performance to play again a 90-minute game, also a tactical game. But if we do not play Rodri, I don't think so we have a chance. I mean, for whatever good Nico Gonzalez has done, I think Rodri is Rodri. By the way he switches the play, his ability to just read the game, to sniff out the danger. It's you can't teach someone like that. Like you have it or you don't. So I think Nico Gonzalez does not have. So I would really want to start that team. Of course, Donnarumma is not going to play, so it is going to be Trafford, Nunes, Kusanov, Diaz, Ait Nouri. In midfield, I would have a Rodri, Bernardo, and a Nico O'Reilly. And then up front, I would have Doku, Haaland, and Cherki. That is my team personally. That is what I want to see. I don't know if Pep is going to play these players together or not, but that is the best possible chance that we have. But before I end up, Addy Bhai, your score prediction, your final scores.
Again, that's what I said. I was absolutely hopeless at this. And I tend not to make any of them because I feel sometimes it's so jinx wings hota hai, which is again.
And then
But I think
you're not. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to force you, Addy Bhai. I mean, I understand. And it's important day for Arsenal fans. It's important that you should get all the luck and deservedly so, because you've played really well. And if you think that you're gonna jinx it, so then you shouldn't be saying it, because I don't. If I think that I'm gonna jinx it, so I don't. Even if someone points a gun at me and tells me कि बताओ क्या होगा, I don't say those numbers. So it's okay. I'm not gonna force you. But just last bit of it. I personally feel it is going to be a very big dagger at Man City's heart if we do not win this, particularly this time, because I feel there's a narrative that is very much brewing that City are way past their best, and I think seeing those Arsenal players lift two trophies in front of them, won the Premier League and the Carabao Cup, it is going to be a very big dagger to all these players. So I personally feel they have to somehow. Just to help themselves going forward, they need to win this match. It is going to be very pivotal for them how they approach the rest of the season and going forward as well. And for Arsenal, I feel this is the best opportunity that they're going to have over to win like multiple trophies, because they are exactly where they need to be. They've got the players, they've got the manager, they've got that X factor which I was talking about, which earlier City team had an X factor by mean where everybody's behind them in terms of how to approach a game. So City has to somehow give a lot of attention to detail with respect to how they're going to attack the corners, which is again it is very time consuming. You don't have time in this league, right? So I think they have it in them, and they should bury City. But it's a cup final, it's Wembley, it's anybody's game, so I'm never going to write off City. So I personally feel we're going to win it, but marginally that is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Addy Bhai. Thank you so much, Manas Bhai. It's always a pleasure, first of all, having both of you here. So thank you so much. All the best for tomorrow. I hope the best team wins. If it's Arsenal, then they should be winning it. If it's City, then they should be winning it. But thank you so much for the wonderful stream, and thank you so much people who are here. Please like the stream. मैं बोलना भूल गया because the conversation was so engaging. मैंने मानस भाई का भी और आदि भाई का भी description में डाल रखा है, title में भी है. Please follow, give them a follow, give them the like, give them the love that they deserve. Also like the stream. Until next time, see you guys. Take care.